Okay, censorship. Yeah, we got to talk about censorship. So this is a story that, look, I could have my criticisms towards Elon Musk and everybody else, but what's happening to Telegram, what's happening to X, what's happening to Rumble frightens me and concerns me greatly, because we here at Hardlands Media, not once, not twice, not 3 times, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, but 9, count them, 9 times, we're the world heavyweight champions of being censored. But I've said before on the show, everybody be ready for that jackboot of censorship. And this deeply concerns me, especially the actions of Brazil. Now, we already talked about what happened to Russell Brand in Great Britain, where his YouTube channel got severely demonetized, and they were also threatening Rumble, telling Rumble to remove Russell Brand off of their platform, which Rumble said, F you, which was beautiful, by the way. Well done, Rumble. But this is a fight, and we are all in it together. So Brazil bans X. Brazilians using a VPN to access the app could be fined $8,874 a day, the Supreme Court has said. Now, how dare a government do this to its people? And at the same time, too, X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, I prefer to call it Phoenix. Okay, but anyways, it's not about me, but I would name it Phoenix. But anyways, look, it's a very popular social media app. It is connected to us, okay? It's not going to go anywhere. It's extremely popular worldwide, and yet now Justice Alexandre de Moraes of the Supreme Court of Brazil has ordered operations of X, formerly Twitter, to be suspended and threatened draconian fines against anyone trying to sidestep the ban. So de Moraes demanded that X censor several accounts that spread disinformation by criticizing him, but the platform's owner, Elon Musk, refused. Now, I could have my criticism of Elon Musk, but I'm glad that he refused that from a government, okay? Same thing for Rumble. I'm glad they stood up against Great Britain. But this censorship is getting out of control here, which causes me to raise an eyebrow. Gee, just what's coming next down the road. On Friday, the judge ordered the platform banned in Brazil, giving Google and Apple 5 days to remove X from their app stores. He also threatened a fine of around 50,000 Brazilian real, approximately $8,874 a day, for anyone using the virtual private network, VPN, to get around the ban. Which, again, folks, please protect yourselves on the internet. VPNs are actually kind of important. But nonetheless, let's continue on. Free speech is the bedrock of democracy, and the unelected pseudo judge in Brazil is destroying it for political purposes, Musk said in response. Musk also called the judge an evil dictator cosplaying as a judge, and accused President Lula da Silva of being his lapdog. On Thursday, de Moraes froze the accounts of Starlink, a subsidiary of Musk's SpaceX, saying this was needed to ensure the payment of fines levied against X for failing to appoint a legal representative. Musk objected to the obscenely illegal action taken without any due process, pointing out that X and SpaceX are two completely different companies with different shareholders. Which, again, yeah, SpaceX and X being Twitter, while it might sound the same, which is why you should have just either left the name Twitter or call it Phoenix. Elon Musk. I'm just saying, Phoenix is a better name. Yes, they are two different companies altogether. According to X's global government affairs team, de Moraes threatened our Brazilian legal representative with imprisonment. Even after she resigned, he froze all her bank accounts. No government should do that to a person. Yet, hey, it's coming next door to us, too. Hell, dare I say it, it's probably already here. Our challenges against his manifestly illegal actions were either dismissed or ignored, the company said, pledging to make public all the related court filings in the interest of transparency. Unlike other social media and technology platforms, we will not comply in secret with illegal orders. So if this was Zuckerberg, he would follow orders and fall in line. That's what Musk would probably do. The U.S. Embassy in Brazil said only it was monitoring the situation, adding the freedom of expression is a fundamental pillar of a healthy democracy. Sneezing on air. Stuff that I try to avoid. The dispute began earlier this year when de Moraes ordered X to suspend the accounts belonging to several supporters of former President Jair Bolsonaro, calling him digital militias who spread disinformation about him and the court. Musk refused, calling the order a violation of Brazilian laws. So this was tweeted out by Glenn Greenwald. The group of countries that Brazil is about to join in banning the use of VPNs to access prohibited sites. So one of them being Russia, China, Iran, Turkmenistan, Venezuela, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Iraq, North Korea, Egypt, India, Cuba, Syria, Belarus, the UAE, Oman, Uganda, Myanmar. That's it. So Brazil, you'll be joining them. Now, I want to pull up this tweet here as well from Greenwald. I used to think because I was taught that a main role of a journalist is to defend free speech and free press. I was long disabused of that. Still watching much of Brazil's corporate media cheer a ban of X because they regain a monopoly on discourse is disgusting. The reason why so many democratic states are now engaging in such extreme measures to close the internet, punish those who allow free speech on it, and demand control is obvious. A free internet remains the only real weapon to challenging ruling class control and dogma. Shout out again to Glenn Greenwald. Now I want to play this video here. I will not interrupt, and I will play it in full entirety.
It's not the first time that X would be blocked in a major country. Here from, we can go back a little bit, Reuters in April of 2024, earlier this year. This was after the coup of the elected prime minister of Pakistan, Imran Khan, which, as it turns out, shockingly, was supported by and given a green light to by the CIA, removed Imran Khan, put him in jail, installed a military regime in Pakistan, far more obedient to the U.S. security state. The social media platform X was blocked in Pakistan over national security, the ministry says. Those are the kind of countries in which these sorts of things happen. Back in 2010, as Ars Technica reported, quote, Google stops Hong Kong auto redirect as China plays hardball. Quote, under threats that the Chinese government won't renew its internet content, Google has decided to call off its efforts to redirect all China users to its Hong Kong search site. Instead of automatically sending searchers straight onto google.com.hx, the search site once again serves up a Google China homepage, complete with a faux search box image that sends users to the Hong Kong site when they click on it. The change may seem minimal, but Google hopes it will be enough to appease the Chinese government and to keep its license to operate on the internet business in the country. All these evil countries we're told are so threatening and tyrannical, now far beyond what they do. The Guardian in March of 2022, at the very start of the war in Russia, quote, Russia blocks access to Facebook and Twitter. The move to block Facebook and Twitter comes as the government passed a bill that criminalizes, quote, fake news reports against the war. What the Guardian forgot to mention was that the EU also banned Russian state media from being platformed by anybody. If you are somebody who has a social media platform and you want to give people the ability to listen to RT or Sputnik, it's against the law in the EU to do it, which is why Rumble's not available in France. Now, speaking of Rumble, the platform of Rumble is unavailable both in Brazil and France. So if you try to access Rumble while in Brazil and France and you don't use a VPN, what you get is the following, quote, and I've tried it in both countries. Quote, because of Brazilian or French government demands to remove creators from our platform, Rumble is currently unavailable in Brazil and France. We are challenging these demands and hope to restore access soon. So you see this rapidly escalating, unfolding, extremely menacing scheme of censorship, which is you either remove every dissident, every idea that we don't like, that we deem false, that we deem harmful, or we will, in the case of France, imprison you and your executives the minute you step foot into the EU, or we'll just block your entire platform from being available in our country at all, and we will only allow those platforms that maintain a closed system of information for our citizens to hear and say only what we think they should be hearing and saying. This is happening in the democratic world, the ostensibly Western democratic world. I cannot do anything more in terms of words to express how extreme, how severe, and how dangerous this trend is. We could see it coming for several years now, and it is here.
I didn't want to interrupt that. Because even I have said these words too, that the censorship will intensify. I can criticize people because in this country, we have the First Amendment, freedom of speech. Other democracies and republics have their own iteration, some form or the other. But in the United States, this is very special. But yet we are seeing politicians across the political spectrum try and control and dictate who can speak and who cannot. And other countries are now doing the same. When a free society is no longer allowed to be free because their government's dictating, oh, you can't look at X anymore. You can't use Rumble anymore. You know, when you try and implement prohibition, it's the biggest disaster ever. Okay? And what I will reference here, completely different than with this nightmare situation that we are dealing with. But remember, we had politicians here in the good old USA who thought it was a really good idea to say, that's it, no more alcohol. Alcohol prohibited. Alcohol's gone bye-bye. And that didn't cause any trouble whatsoever. Oh, wait, it led to the rise of the crime syndicates known as the mob to take control. People were still drinking. And look, I saw that Ken Burns documentary. When it got to the pairing of Italian meals without red or white wine, I got offended, okay? Because if you're going to eat a good Italian meal, you need to have yourself a delicious pairing of wine with it, okay? I got offended. I was triggered. But now, let's get right back on point. Let's stay on target for free speech. When a government's telling you now you can't use certain social media platforms, you think people are just going to fall in line and obey? No. Because right now you have nations who are supposedly democratic countries or constitutional republics or whatever, with a parliamentary system and everything, now dictating to its people, you're not allowed to be free and individual and enjoy what you want. It's a way to control things. And yet you have the establishment media in its different iterations across the world cheering that their governments are being this draconian. Hey, last I checked, didn't a lot of politicians across the world and even media figures across the world use X, right? Because it's a very popular platform. How are you going to get around that? Government of Brazil. No, I got to hear how you're going to do this because, you know, X is a very popular platform. And a lot of people in Brazil, but around the world, use it, including leaders. How are you going to get past that? Because no matter what happens, Elon Musk is still going to have X, and he'll be crapping all over you because you're afraid of what he's saying to you. And at this point, X has every right to defend itself against the actions of this Brazilian government. Because what? They can't take criticism? If you can't take criticism, then you shouldn't be in media and you shouldn't be in politics, and it's the wrong career. You're too sensitive for it. You're too soft. But yet, hey, we got the same problem here in the USA. Hard-lens media, we've been censored. We've been silenced. We've been suppressed. We've been deplatformed. We've been demonetized. There are other people who are close to us who have also suffered it far worse. And this is the world that is deemed acceptable by the ruling class. I don't care where you stand politically. Free speech and the right to criticize our government is the right of the people to do. This isn't ancient antiquity where we must bow to our senators and our lords and our kings and respect them as higher people. No! They got their own flaws, and they deserve to be criticized, as does our media, because our media and politicians would never lie to us, right? I can't stress this out enough. We have to be speaking out, and we do have to look at alternative platforms because you know what? What's happening in Brazil? Well, hey, we're getting it here too in the USA. I mean, how many times have I gotten messages from people saying, hey, I was unsubscribed. Hey, I'm trying to write this comment. This is like my 5th attempt writing this comment on this channel for this video. Hey, I thought you guys were canceled. I didn't know you guys were still around. What a sight it would be if all 50,000 plus of my subscribers were made aware when we go live. That would be great. I'd love it. I truly would. That's a form of censorship because it's happening to my colleagues in independent media as well. Free speech is the right for every sovereign individual to use. It is a cherished right. That's why I respect the First Amendment. But we have politicians who are actively engaging and in many ways succeeding here in the USA to do what they want to do in Brazil. You know, hell, we had AOC cheering what was happening to Tucker Carlson being deplatformed. She was cheering for it. She didn't care. Now, look, I can have my difference of opinion with Elon Musk or Tucker Carlson or whoever. But a weak coward says, oh, they must be banned and censored and silenced. If you don't like it, look somewhere else. You don't like what this person's saying? No one's holding a gun to your head. You have the option of looking away and being an adult. Yes, there's people who I don't like, but you know what? They have a right to speak, so let them speak. No one's holding a gun to my head to listen to them. But yet, the criticisms that we are getting right now from the establishment towards the people is so demeaning. They think that we are too stupid to make decisions for ourselves. So when I say things are going to get crazier, I mean it. It's only going to intensify. And this is why we need independent media. This is why we need to see a rise of citizen journalists. This is why we need to start supporting citizen ballot initiatives. This is why we must cherish and protect the First Amendment at any and all cost. Because right now, we have governments dictating to social media platforms who is allowed to speak and who is not allowed to speak. And if we just turn a blind eye, if we remain silent, they will be the only ones speaking. And then we enter into the world of 1984. Big Brother loves you. Big Brother is only watching out for you. Big Brother would never lie to you. Tell me, folks, is that a world you want to live in? I'll end this as a democratic note. Maybe this will be the last one ever. Does that sound like a world you want to live in where the governments are just dictating to the people what to do and what to think? Type 1 for yes, Kit. Follow the orders. The type 2, hell no. I wonder how many 2s will be in the chat. I wonder.